Go, we're up.
Imenta yang ampa nunggu langwa ine mamua Papa gunue sere salamayata tania
The beautiful Emily Waramara coming to us, singing us in, and I'm welcoming, doing a big Waminjaka to Stevie Thorpe.
Yeah,
Hello.
brother, Wamanjika,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's good to be here with you, having a
yeah,
yarn.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've got a big crowd here today, and that will listen to this afterwards. And we should have Kurt joining us at any moment. So we're going to get started. We're
Okay.
excited to bring to you today's little program. This is a little seed that's been probably brewing for a couple of years, I reckon, Stevie. Just in chats we've had and things like that.
Yeah, it's coming all together, and
Yeah,
I think it's really good bringing that intention in to, explore and share and create opportunities for that sharing of culture, First
yeah,
Nations culture, the one that cares for the land. Hey,
that's it.
that's what it's all about.
That's it. And to that extent, we might offer up a little acknowledgement of country. Both sitting here on Wurundjeri land
Yeah,
and sending that love and prayer to all the elders and all the good people working on the projects here. There's so much that's happening here on Wurundjeri country, recovery of language, dance. There's so much healing going on. And we're just sending out a little prayer and sending that prayer out to the creators. A lot of people don't know who the creators are, of the creation story of Wurundjeri country. And two of the great characters in that story are Bunjil, the wedge-tailed eagle. Um, who's the one that kind of formed the land and formed the people. And Bunjil had a couple of offsiders, but one of the main ones was the raven. The raven was the one that released the winds to allow Bunjil to transform into the sky world. So yeah, I always love to bring a couple of those characters out because
is that
it's an
wow?
important. Wow, that's it.
Wow.
Wow, yeah, and
Yeah.
so yeah, you can get online and have a look at that dreaming story. It's a beautiful thing to do, to start to connect to country in that way, and you start to gives you that little bit more deeper connection. Like I'll often see the wedge-tailed eagle out in my walks at really special times, actually. Or I'll chat with, Wah's often there. And we had a ceremony the other day, and Wah just came flying through the circle with, when one of the participants said something significant, Wah just came through like, boom. So, yeah, we're sending our love and prayers to those creatures and the birds that surround us. This amazing, amazing place we live with such unique and amazing history, culture, animals, and birds. And we'll
Yeah.
say through the mother, which acknowledges all that.
Through the mother.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And the waterways too, we want to acknowledge, we're 70% water.
Yeah.
And that's, we have to drink, it sustains us, we have to drink a lot of it.
Mm.
And it's also gives us the life, as Rob takes a drink there. It's and so yeah, when you're drinking that water or when you buy the water, it's like really acknowledging that, really
Mm.
acknowledging that it's that life giving, and it's
Yes.
that creation is there.
Mm.
But yeah, that speaks to a little bit about what we're here for as well. Earth wisdom camps to really introduce people to some of these beautiful elders that we have and that
Yeah.
knowledge. And we haven't, Earth Wisdom haven't had a camp for a couple of years now because of COVID.
Yep.
There's been limited opportunities to gather and share some of that knowledge. So
Mm.
it's good that we're here today to really talk about how we can create that and make that happen. And we want to, yeah, invite people into into this space of caretaking for country, as Uncle Wayne would put it, and other elders.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but do you want to speak to a little bit more about what we've got planned to make these things happen, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah. And the great thing you acknowledge there with this long history, 15 years now of, well, it's not long, is it? It's not 80,000 years. 15 years for
That's
me
good.
and and for Kurt and really our passion and where it all started was um, just that sincere passion to see greater opportunity of sharing of culture and really deep experiences. I think people who've been to the camps over the years, they've just found it's not show and tell, it's not a show and tell camp. It's a really deep, profound and moving experience. And oh, there's so many great memories that we've shared, and I don't know where to begin in just capturing a little bit of that history. But I remember in one of the first camps sitting there with Uncle Max, and we had 100 people at one of the first camps I helped host coming we had a big ceremony on the Saturday night. And I sat down with Uncle Max on my on my bum, and fully expecting him to lay out exactly how this ceremony was going to unfold tonight and what special things needed to be in it and how it was going to get constructed. And I was sitting next to my good friend Peter Malcolm, who was a big initiator back in that time as well of these camps. And we both sitting there waiting for Uncle. What's he going to say? And he just turns around and he looks at us and says, "Okay, fellas, what are we going to create tonight?" And I think it was just such a wonderful. It's been one of the key learnings actually is the presence, the sense of being in the now and being in that creative space. It's so alive, and so many amazing things have happened on the camp that are completely unexpected because and as one of the camp organizers, people would come to me and say, "What's the schedule? What's on next? What time is it on? Where's it going to be? I don't want to miss it." And for years I was like, "Oh, I don't know," and people thought, what's this guy doing organizing a camp?
uh,
But behind the scenes was Uncle would come down on the Thursday night or whatever, and we'd have dinner together, and I'd say to him, "Oh, Uncle, so what are we doing? What's the schedule?" And every year he'd just turn to me and say, "We're not going to talk about that." And so there's this great, that's part of the cultural experience that I've had in these camps is just surrendering into this sense of timelessness, I suppose. So that's been very special. So that's a little taste of the history, not a lot, but at least we've acknowledged like all these years of running these camps. And one of the things that was very hard in the beginning was getting the funding together, to be honest, Stevie, to in my mind bring these elders from sometimes a fair way away or cover their costs. And it was just a big stress to make sure that everything was covered. And it fell onto my shoulders, or Kurt and myself's shoulders, a number of times. And I think moving forward, what we realised is we want to create a funding source that sort of triggers or initiates the camp, and brings it to life So we're not worried about that, and we can enjoy the camp more, and provide the funding that really needs to go to these camps, because when they have that money up front, they can really start to plan who they're going to bring in, and who they can invite. That sort of stuff's really crucial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of the thing. But as I was speaking to Stevie before, there's a lot of other cultural things that happen during the year with the elders, a lot of things they're doing. I remember there was a big gathering on Ewan country. Was that must have been 2 years ago now? But and Uncle Max was up there, Wayne was up there, a few different elders were up there. But they're out there doing land ceremony. They're caring for country. They're practically doing it. And so the funding that we hope to raise will support those sorts of trips. And what happens in those trips, you've recently been on one, Stevie, is there's just such incredible sharings that happen, isn't it? Like, it's something that's really important
Yeah.
in the cultural landscape, I suppose.
Yeah. It's really about that revival of culture, and bringing those young people along, which,
Mm,
yeah, I think that's the real important part, because as an Aboriginal man, growing up in an urban environment, not really exposed to those learnings and those experiences. Well, I know I wasn't.
yeah.
So that was my experience, and I see that around. So what Uncle Max is doing, and Uncle Wayne and other elders, is bringing that knowledge back,
Mm,
and it's always been there, but it's
yeah.
just about accessing it and making it available. And
Mm,
so I think it's very important work, and they need that they it needs to be funded as well. So
yeah.
I think you just getting to the point. This is what this is what this video is about. Sharing that, the history of these camps, and the potency and the value of them,
Mm,
and asking those out there, to donate, to such a special cause and such a special thing, to bring alive,
yeah.
and help to grow. Yeah. So
That's it. That's it, Stevie. And I think when I think about the past camps, the things that we've done, like you said, one of the really special things is the family. That's, like you said, the young people that get
yeah,
involved in the camps, and the sense of contribution and value that they bring. And for me, it's always been very special, the value that they take away. Like, I've seen the impact, or the positive impact, on the likes of Wayne's brother. I've forgotten his name now. He came the year before.
Owen.
Yeah,
Yeah, Uncle
just
Owen. Sorry. Yeah.
walking away tall and proud that
Yeah.
people were willing to hear his story and interested in him. And so that's a beautiful outcome, a rich contribution that sometimes we don't think about, because we're geared towards what are we getting out of it. So
Mm.
I think all those things are really important, and like you said, and as Wayne has and other elders have told me, like, at the moment, a lot of the opportunities for employment, so to speak, or contract work, they're getting jobs that are driven by government agenda, or by a certain organizational outcome, like, we want you to do a welcome to country or whatever, or we want you to do this, or come and talk about this. And it's all very driven by an agenda, particularly government bodies. So we want you to study this plant, this one right here. And Uncle Wayne's trying to talk to them about the whole ecosystem. And all they want to talk about is this one little plant. So the funding will give them greater opportunity to, I don't know, take that, do it how they want to do it, right? Rather than the funding that's coming to them at the moment, which is kind of directing their focus, which is not always as holistic or as, I don't know, it just doesn't bring together the whole culture. It just sort of picks pieces out of it. Have you experienced that as well, Stevie, in your?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, I think it needs that immersive experience, doesn't it? When you want to, experience
Yeah.
culture and on the camps and on the when I went up to New South Wales with Uncle Max, really that, being up there for 9 days and, being up there on land and listening to the stories and waking up,
Mm,
you know, every day, on the earth and and just and just hearing those stories and just feeling that connection to the land, from an elder. I think you can't. It's different than, than that sort of tick a box. It's more like a
mm,
it's where we come from, and I think that's what's missing a lot, and that's what Uncle Max really brings, and Uncle Wayne.
mm.
They really bring that, sense that we belong to the land and everybody can be a caretaker of the land. And how important is that today,
Mm,
where, you
mm.
know, the land is being abused and where people are disconnected from it. I think what's on offer here is a introduction and back to this deeper knowing that we all have, that
Yeah.
a lot of people are really longing for, and there's a lot of anxiousness, there's a lot of mental health issues. And
Mm,
I think a lot of that, when you connect back to the source, when you sit by that river or you sit underneath that tree and you really just take that deep breath and connect in, and
mm.
then you're starting to connect to the spirit of the land. But the elders can guide you through that in a
Yeah.
deeper way than what we can just by ourselves. And I think
Yeah.
I think that's really what I've received from it. It's sort of like, okay, yeah, I can connect to the land. But then when I went on the camps, that it really accelerated that connection,
Yeah.
and even though it was slowed down, I feel like that connection was so deep in a very quick way.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think the funding, would really help to bring that, on a deeper level. Like you're saying, Rob, that
Mm.
funding will then be able to help those elders put a whole team together that are First Nations custodians from wherever we go. So if we go down Gunai country, Uncle
Mm.
Wayne will be able to get, aunties and when I name people, but
Yeah.
just get other elders involved, other young people involved that are stepping up into leadership and to putting that knowledge on as First Nations people, and you
Yeah.
know, and and really bring that. So, I
Mm.
think it'd be really great to see, we're going to have a bit of a button for people to donate, and we're also going to do those fundraising, right? So
That's right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
What I love about what you've just shared, Stevie, and leads into the fundraising in a beautiful way, is it's almost like this caring for country fundraising. It's almost like a partnership, isn't it? Like the elders are bringing their cultural story, their way, and the fundraisers are coming in to receive that way by also raising funds on their side through their family, through their community. So it's a really beautiful invitation. And as Stevie said, there's going to be a number of ways that people can get involved. So, and it can be simple. So it can be, as you alluded to, Stevie, you can run a fundraiser on your own right. And it could be as simple as going out to your local creek, your river, your local environment, and just doing a meditation on country, because that's caring for country. I think people tend to think that caring for country is planting trees and cleaning up rubbish. Now, they're not things that are not worthy of acknowledgement. I'm not saying that. but there's other things to do. When you look at the way the elders are with land, they sing to the land. They converse with the land and the animals. They might sit on country and see what comes to them. You know, what sort of bird or animal comes into their frame. You know, because that's a important event. So you could do a simple fundraising like that. I'm going out. I'm going to care for country in the way that I want to sing to country. I want to get some friends together and go and do a meditation into my local creek or something like that. So you can keep it very simple about that fundraising activity. Then you can invite people, like you're doing a 10K hike or all these other sorts of fundraising. You can say, listen, I'm going out to care for country. You know, can you support my fundraising to do that? And I think that's at the heart of it. That's the simplest or the easiest thing that we can all do for during Reconciliation Week. So you'll have a whole week to plan out when you might do that. And we can all take that next step in caring to country. And like you said, Stevie, we're going to get everyone who signs up and wants to be part of it, will get those teachings, get those communications from the elders and those guides about the things that you can do to care for country. I think that's the sweetness in it that comes through to you as you take on a responsibility in this endeavour. How's that sound, Stevie?
That sounds so good. Hey, that's what it's all about, eh? So,
Yeah,
yeah, it comes in many different ways, and it's about your relationship. You know, I think back to what Uncle Wayne says, you know, it's like, you know, oh, this is my story. This is the Gunai story when he's sharing his story, when he's sharing his story of the dream time.
yeah,
Now, you know, take your experience from the camp, you know,
mm,
you know, and share that. And what you're
yeah,
saying there, you know, like you're going to go out and sing to the land and meditate with your friends. And that's like we've all got our way of connecting to the land. And it's about bringing that and bringing
mm,
that good intention, those good vibes to those to those waterways, and that's what this intention is about. So we want to do a fundraiser during Reconciliation Week,
yeah,
and we want to reconcile with the land. You know, we want to reconcile with the land and with our waterways,
mm,
and you know, and that. And you know, clean up the waterways. Maybe that is a practical way of cleaning up the rubbish. Maybe that's the way that somebody wants to do it. Maybe you
yeah,
want to sit by the tree and just send good, loving energy and receive that loving energy as well from Mother Earth. Maybe you just want to walk and listen to the birds, but it's about
mm,
observing and being connected and getting, you know, and getting, you know, getting into that flow with the nature and with Mother
yeah,
Earth. Um, you know, so we're going to have, you know, links and things and ways to be involved.
yeah,
You know, so you know, we're sharing that this is going to happen during Reconciliation Week. So if you have
that's
any
right.
questions, you know, I'm sure there's going to be, you know, some numbers on there that you
Yeah,
can call up and say, hey, you know,
yeah,
like I'm really
Stevie's
interested.
mobile.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Well, go drop in and see Stevie
I
and
just gave myself a job.
drop in and see Stevie. He'll guide you.
Yeah,
No, no,
happy to have a
seriously.
yarn, you know,
Yeah,
about connection to country, eh?
yeah. And it's a beautiful point you
But
make.
yeah,
And Uncle Max often talks about that. He says reconciliation. Jesus, what are you guys talking about? We never had a relationship. How can you reconcile something? So he says, don't worry about that. He said the reconciliation that he truly wants to see in his heart is that reconciliation to the land. That's what we can all do together. And in that, we can have a connection and a shared interest or a shared connection through that process. So it's just such a beautiful invitation. The more that we share this and your thoughts coming out, Stevie, here, it's like it's simple, but it's so powerful. And
it's very simple.
yeah, yeah. So you might during that reconciliation week, you might just go out for a walk, as Stevie said, in the morning. You might gather together 20 people and dance on country, which is what I'm planning to do. Because I'm a dancer. I love the dance in nature. So that's my plan. And what we will do is there's maybe some potentiality of coming to events. We're going to have a welcome to the grandfather son ceremony coming up on what's the date on that one, Stevie? It's the Saturday,
It's either the 22nd or
yeah, that's it.
23rd. It's a Saturday, right?
That's it. So we
Yeah.
will have, it's an opportunity to come along and learn one of the ways that the elders have shared with us, Stevie, about connecting to country, which
Connecting.
is a welcome to the grandfather son ceremony. And it's a core part of the Earth Wisdom camps. So that's a great invitation for people to come and experience something that they can take away, and then, maybe you'll run a welcome to grandfather ceremony as part of your Reconciliation Week fundraiser. So there's lots of options there, but certainly, as Stevie said, we want to build a resource there so you can connect with the elders and what they wisdom they want to share, and the practical sense of how we get out there and actually connect with country. Uncle Max, for years we ran the camp, was called Watching the Land Talk to You, for years, and every year I'd say, Uncle, you think we could have a different name? He'd be like, nah, same thing. Maybe he was saying I haven't learned it yet. You haven't learned this one yet. We're not moving on until.
Yeah.
And he'd always say, "Watching the land talk to you." It's funny, isn't it? Like watching the land talk to you. Using your eyes and your ears in that one experience. So yeah, so that's really a beautiful part of the intention, is that wisdom to flow through to the people who stand up and say, yeah, I want to be part of this. I think that's really, really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So if you're feeling the vibe of what we're talking about, get on board and, start up your own fundraising event and
Mm.
invite your friends along and connect to the land and, be a part of, that'll be a part of a camp that'll be coming up too. So, there'll be other opportunities to come out and connect with First Nations culture
Mm.
and elder
Yeah.
and with the land, most
Yeah.
importantly.
That's right. And with the opening up of things, where we've got our sights set on springtime for a Gunai camp. I think that's sort of penciled in at this stage, and then hopefully getting up to Ewan country around the Bermagui area with Uncle Max and his crew towards the end of the year.
So
And
Ewan country's up in New South Wales.
yeah,
Whereabouts is that? It's B. Whereabouts is
Bermagui,
that, Rob?
yeah, near Bermagui,
Bermag
Narooma.
Bermagui, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, we camp at Mystery Bay and do the walk up the Sacred Mountain and a couple of other things. So yeah, that gives you a bit of the scope as to where we're heading, and the Wurundjeri have always been involved in the camps here in Melbourne that have been run, and there's potential of we've spoken to some elders about running a dedicated camp for the Wurundjeri mob, which would be lovely to see that happen this year or early next year as well. So sort of three possible camps coming up where people can dive in and get that full immersion experience. As Stevie said, there's not much like it. So it's a really amazing invitation. So that's
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it in a nutshell, isn't it, Stevie? We're calling you in. We're saying, come on in and get involved. This is all about caring for country, um, and your fundraising effort, however small or large it may be, is going to make a huge difference to that fullness of the work that the elders are doing, whether it's at the cultural camps themselves or whether it's in the ceremonies they do outside of that, which again, there's lots of examples of work that they've done, um, all the way up the coast, really, haven't they, with the whale dreaming story. So
mm,
I don't know how they've funded all that, but they've been up and down the coast tracking the whale for this beautiful book that's coming out next year, I think it is, and we're all looking forward to that. Um, and we've certainly been part of it, haven't we? Earth Wisdom. We were doing the whale
yeah,
dance
yeah.
down on Tidal River. That was a pretty memorable event, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It was so beautiful to sing in the language, where I'm from,
Yeah,
and not growing up with that, and and to dance the whale and sing the whale. It's
yeah,
like another way to relate to such a beautiful animal and such a
mm,
beautiful spirit.
yeah,
It's like such a, I always think about, when we connect to like facts about animals and it's in a very information driven way, but this was very
yeah,
different. These experiences are very different, and they
mm,
go to the heart and go to the spirit, and you can
mm,
really, well, I could really feel myself connecting to the land in a deeper way, and
yeah,
to the stories of those,
mm,
to the stories of what they offer us,
yeah,
and our relationship to that, So there's a
yeah,
lot to be there's a lot to be had, There's a lot to experience. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so beautiful. And I remember
so beautiful.
like we were all moving as the whale together. That was the
Yeah,
other really
yes.
startling. A lot of dance is done like separately these days, isn't it? Like people are standing back and don't get too close to each other. But we were
Especially COVID, 1.5.
the
No, this was before
celebrating
that.
dance of 1.5, Stevie, with the oh, I love it. But yeah, that really has stayed with me, that experience of moving together in that sense of tribe or community and singing together and dancing together, this wholeness. It's
Yeah.
one of the real gifts is that, yeah, that sense of wholeness is really, really special. So,
Mm.
uh, nice, lovely story or lovely sharing for us to kind of close on.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts that you've had that you want to put in there as a close? Put you on the spot.
Just Yeah, nah, just feel excited about going out there to my local waterway. Um,
Mm,
so I'm not far from Pound Bend,
yeah,
Warrandyte area.
yeah,
So we really receive a lot. Me and my little family go
yeah,
down there and have a dip in the water and just
yeah.
ignore. So that's where we'll be going
For
to
the
connect the
grandfather son.
country.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're going
oh,
down there for the grandfather's son as well. But
yeah,
I'll go
yeah.
down there on another
Another
occasion
in
just to,
reconciliation week. Yeah,
yeah, because I went there all over COVID,
yeah,
and during that lockdown here in Melbourne,
yeah,
I know that was challenging and hard, for a lot of people. But I think one of the things that really got us through and me through is connecting to land.
yeah.
I
Right.
know everybody was really, we had to go for those walks, to connect
Yeah,
to, it was outside of the house, outside of the four walls, connect to the elements, connect to the land. And that's
yeah,
what I was fortunate enough to do, is that go down to Warrandyte down there and connect to the trees and the birds and the things like that.
Yeah,
And you know, that's beautiful. Like
yeah,
that's a beautiful spot for us. So that's where I'll be going. So
yeah,
yeah, it's an opportunity to yeah, if you're really hearing this call, think about your local waterway or your local area. It doesn't have to be waterway even. It's just land, Mother Earth. Just go down
yeah,
there. But we're particularly thinking about going to the waterways because they're so important for our lives and they sustains us. Hey,
yeah,
so get think about that. Think
mm,
about that. Connect to what you want to connect to.
yeah, yeah. And it's a beautiful invitation to. I know myself. And the elders certainly in the past have done that. They're pulling in those younger nephews, nieces, cousins, other people to the process. So it's such a wonderful thing to do with your kids, or if you've got a nephew or a niece. Again, just singing on country, or just bringing them into that process. Again, that's a sense of wholeness, isn't it? Like we tend to do things in groups in this sort of structure, that this event is for little ones, this one's for teenagers, this is for adults, this is for the old people, and what's really beautiful is to have that cross generational kind of event. So you could have a picnic on country and just do some singing,
Mm,
keeping it simple but keeping it inclusive. And I think that's
mm,
really a special thing to do, to share it,
mm,
to share caring for country. Yeah.
mm.
So a beautiful call out today, Stevie. I love it. I love
It's
that
fantastic, brother.
you're behind it. You're onto it. And
Yeah,
you might see me dancing
yeah.
past you at Bound Band.
There he is.
Stevie's trying to
Rebecca.
meditate. And here comes Robbie Mack and his disco crew, caring for country in his own special way.
You might get me up dancing with you, eh?
Yeah, that's
I'll
right. Disturb
have to
your
get up and join
meditation.
you.
Exactly. Okay, Stevie. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you down for a welcome to the grandfather son in Saturday
Yeah.
week on the 22nd, and we'll provide a bit more background information on the fundraising and what you can do, so that you can stand up and get involved and support kind of that cultural, I don't know, reinvigoration, is it, Stevie? Or there's certainly a healing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cultural, many words we can say there. Cultural
yeah,
revival, cultural emergence,
yeah.
cultural, so many words, but there's nothing like the real thing, the real deal,
Experience.
the experience.
That's right. Let's not talk about
Yeah.
it anymore. Let's get out there.
Let's get out there.
Right,
No worries,
mate. Well,
brother.
lovely to talk, and sending out lots of love to everyone from the Earth Wisdom Mob. And we're really excited to see you again soon, whether it's at an event or whether it's at a camp. Or yeah, it's such a pleasure to always gather together and eat burnt toast around the fire. Uh, it's one of the great joys.
Pancakes.
Yeah, pancakes. There might be a pancake or two. True, that's very true. Yeah, love a pancake.
Let's have some pancakes, man. No
Yeah,
worries, brother.
righto, mate. Love you heaps, brother. And we'll see you all soon. Over and out
Yeah,
from us here at HQ. And yeah, we're looking forward to caring for country with you real soon.
take care.
Much
Bye.
love. See you, mate.